Rain lashed against the windows, mirroring the storm brewing inside Maya. Her heart felt like a lead weight in her chest. Each strained breath, each blink was an effort. Maya stared at the computer screen, the spreadsheet blurring before her eyes. Numbers swam, meaningless and cold. How could the world keep spinning when hers had tilted on its axis? The air in the small cubicle felt suffocating. Maya loosened the collar of her salwar kameez, a wave of nausea washing over her. It was the call, the one she received just an hour ago, that had stolen her breath and left her reeling. The hospital, her father, the surgery, the impossible sum of 200,000 rupees. Her father, the man who had always been her rock, lay connected to machines in a sterile hospital room. His heart, once so full of life and laughter, was failing. The doctors had been blunt. He needed surgery, and he needed it soon. The cost, however, was a cruel joke, a mountain too high to climb. Maya's family, like most, lived a life of modest means. Her father, a retired school teacher, lived on a meager pension. Her mother, with her stall at the local market, stretched every rupee. 200,000 rupees might as well have been 200,000 stars, beautiful, distant, and utterly unattainable. The weight of responsibility pressed down on her. She was the elder daughter, the one who had always been told she could achieve anything. But how could she achieve this? How could she save the man who had given her life? A wave of dizziness swept over Maya, and she gripped the edge of her desk. There had to be a way. She had to try. Her gaze fell on the employee handbook tucked away in her drawer. A section on emergency loans caught her eye. Hope, fragile as a butterfly's wing, flickered within her. Taking a deep breath, Maya navigated the office hierarchy, her heart pounding with a mixture of hope and trepidation. She reached the finance department, her plea tumbling out in a rush of words.
I'm sorry, Ms. Sharma, but your request doesn't meet the criteria for an emergency loan. The amount is simply too high.
The words, delivered with bureaucratic indifference, shattered Maya's last shred of hope. Despair threatened to consume her. Returning to her desk, Maya slumped in her chair, tears blurring her vision. Her colleague, Priya, noticed her distress and rushed to her side. Priya, with her infectious laughter and ever-optimistic spirit, was a ray of sunshine in their often dreary office. Listening to Maya's predicament, Priya's brow furrowed with concern.
Have you spoken to Mr. Kapoor directly? He can be persuasive when it comes to these matters.
Maya hesitated. Mr. Kapoor was a man who exuded an aura of power and entitlement, his gaze often lingering a moment too long on the female employees. Later that day, Maya found herself standing before Mr. Kapoor's imposing mahogany desk. His eyes, dark and calculating, seemed to see right through her. As Maya haltingly explained her situation, a slow smile spread across his face.
I can help you, Maya, but every favor comes with a price.
His meaning was unmistakable. Spend a night with him and he'd arrange the money. Disgust warred with desperation within Maya. The thought of sacrificing her dignity for money was abhorrent. She stammered, her voice trembling with a mixture of anger and humiliation. Mr. Kapoor simply shrugged, his smile turning cold. I can't. That evening, Maya received another call, this time from her mother. Her voice, usually so strong, cracked with fear. Then I'm afraid I can't help you. Maya, the doctor said, they can't wait any longer. If we don't arrange the money by tomorrow, we might lose him. The phone slipped from Maya's grasp, clattering to the floor. Her father's face, etched with pain, swam before her eyes. Her mother's words echoed in her ears. We might lose him. The thought of losing her father, the one constant in her life, was unbearable. And yet, the price she had to pay to save him. The hours that followed were a blur of agonizing indecision. Sleep was impossible. Images of her father, his laughter, his gentle scolding, his unwavering love played on a loop in her mind. By dawn, a decision had been made. It was a decision born of desperation. a choice she never thought she'd have to make. Maya met Mr. Kapoor that evening. The restaurant was opulent, the food tasteless. Every word he spoke, every glance he cast her way felt like a violation. Time seemed to stretch, each tick of the clock a hammer blow to her soul. Later, as she drove to the hospital, the city lights blurring into streaks of color, a chilling emptiness settled over her. She had betrayed herself, her values, for a chance to save her father. But was it already too late? The hospital corridor was eerily silent. Maya approached her father's room, her steps slow and heavy. Her hand trembled as she reached for the door handle. As she pushed the door open, the antiseptic smell assaulting her nostrils, a wave of dizziness washed over her. Her mother sat slumped in a chair beside the empty bed, her shoulders shaking with silent sobs. The heart monitor, once a rhythmic beep, was now a flat, unforgiving line. "He's gone, Maya," her mother whispered, her voice hoarse with grief. "He's gone." The world tilted on its axis once more. The money, clutched tightly in Maya's hand, suddenly felt worthless, heavy with the weight of her sacrifice. The following days were a blur of condolences and funeral rites. Maya moved through them like an automaton, her face a mask of grief. The guilt was a living, breathing thing, twisting its claws tighter around her heart with each passing moment. She had saved her father, hadn't she? The surgery would have happened, the 200,000 rupees ensuring his chance at life. But what good was a chance if it arrived too late? The money now sat untouched in a bank account, a constant, painful reminder of the price she had paid. It was a hollow victory, a Pyrrhic triumph that mocked her with every breath. Life, as it always does, went on. But for Maya, it was a different life, one shrouded in a perpetual twilight. The guilt and regret were ever-present companions, whispering their poisonous doubts in her ear. What if she had tried harder? What if she had found another way? The memory of that night, the feel of Mr. Kapoor's touch, haunted her dreams. She had sacrificed her dignity, her self-respect, for a chance to save her father. And in the end, it had all been for nothing. The weight of her choice, the burden of her sacrifice, was a heavy cross to bear. Time, the supposed healer, did little to ease Maya's pain. The world continued to spin, oblivious to her silent suffering. The city, once a symbol of hope and opportunity, now felt like a cage, its towering buildings pressing down on her, suffocating her. Maya carried on, working, eating, sleeping, but a part of her remained frozen in that hospital room, forever haunted by the sight of her father's still form and the crushing weight of her desperate choice. The cost of sacrifice, she learned, was often far greater than the sum of its parts. It was a debt that could never be fully repaid, a burden that would forever weigh upon her soul.